2024 with the vehicle, with the plan, and most importantly, put a timeline attached to it.
Okay.
I mean, the timeline, because it's the new year, it could be December, the end of December 2024. But here's something that people need to digest after writing down the front side of what they want to achieve. Here's what the back side is. The back side is the sacrifices that has to be made in order to give you the time to do the new activity to create the new results that you desire.
Right.
Because let's be honest, if you're going to create new results financially, it means you're going to be doing something extra or something new.
Right.
But it's a new year. It doesn't mean we're going to get extra time per day.
Yeah.
We still just have 24 hours a day, 365 days this year. So if you want new results, but you still have the same allotted amount of time per day, then the back side to manifesting the front side of what you want to attain this year is going to come with the list of sacrifices that you already plan. And you have to hear the word I use, that you plan. You have to plan to sacrifice to attain the success. Not just plan to have success. You need to plan the sacrifice to attain the success. Most persons don't do that.
You have to sit and have a view of, okay, what your day looks like.
Exactly.
And where am I going to sacrifice, or where am I
Correct.
going to extract some time in order to
Correct.
acquire this goal?
Correct, because you want something extra.
Yes.
It means you need to do something extra. But you don't have extra time.
Correct. Yeah.
You only have 24 hours a day, 365.
Yeah.
So to create this new result with this new activity that you're going to incorporate in your new year, the question is, how do I redirect the 24 hours that I have per day? And you have to sacrifice. So I tell my team members, success in 2024 is going to come as a result of the sacrifices you're willing to make.
Yeah.
And to be real practical, here's what I usually ask them to do. Think about all the things that you already manifest, as simple as it is, and you be grateful for it at the same time.
Yeah.
The clothes you have on, the watch, the earring, the chain, the shoes, the house you live in, the roof over your head, the
Yeah.
food on the table. That is obviously a result of someone's sacrifice.
Yeah.
That didn't magically manifest itself, right?
Yeah.
So what we could state boldly is every single thing we actually have right now is a direct correspondence to the sacrifices we made in the past.
Yeah.
So if you want to improve your finances, if you want to improve your lifestyle, you want to improve what you have, what you actually need to do is look at the core. To the front side, you have to evaluate the back side.
Yeah. Correct.
And in evaluating the backside, it's about deciding the sacrifices that you simply need to make. And I could tell you some of the sacrifices that I consciously made when I got started in my personal growth and development journey.
Right.
Example, just to highlight practical examples. I remember I used to actually watch TV.
Yeah.
Let me be practical. I haven't watched TV in years. Now, I may watch a movie, but to sit and watch TV, I would say over 6 years. Now, it didn't start as an objective for me not to be a person that doesn't watch TV. It started with me looking at 24 hours and saying, hey, listen, I want new results this year.
Right.
I have to do something new.
Yeah.
But when I look at the time I got last year and the time I get in this year, is the same amount every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to rearrange and reorganize my life. I had to sacrifice. TV went out the door.
Yeah.
And because I incorporated that as a sacrifice that year, it predominantly came a habit moving on in the next year and the next year and the next year.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to do what I did and remove it entirely, but it
Yeah.
may just be a sacrifice to 2024.
So that if, for example, you're accustomed looking at the television for 3 hours, you might want to just look at it for 1 hour instead.
Correct
in the
is right.
interim.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're freeing up some time for you
Freeing
to...
up some time. You're
Yeah.
redirecting time. Next example, right now the truth is the new TV is a cell phone.
Right, yeah.
And have persons will literally sit on their cell phone. and
Just scroll.
just engage.
And I've heard persons say that before, that it's time consuming because you will get lost and
For
caught up, and when
sure.
you look, it's 2 hours.
Especially
that's
with
gone.
the new app called TikTok.
Right.
With that infinity loop where you just scrolling and they're feeding you
Yes.
things that you like to see. Yeah. You may have to redirect the time.
Yeah, okay.
That is where the sacrifice is. Now, the sacrifice can even be harder than that, right? And let me tell you why I say harder, because there are persons who may actually just may have to sacrifice family time. Family time today to have family time tomorrow. Because you need to decide where you want to be with your family tomorrow. So I'll give you an example. Let's say your finances could only afford you and your family to have a treat that is basic. I like doubles, but just using this example, right?
Yeah.
Let's say your finances could only afford you to extend the treat of doubles last year.
Right.
And you want to be able to afford yourself something more costly than doubles. Well, you may have to redirect some family time this year with doubles, so that at the end of next year, you will be able to treat them with something different.
Yeah.
So you may have to sacrifice the time this year or at the top of this year. So at the end of this year or the beginning of the new year, you could have a different experience. I remember a principle too that I heard from one of my mentors. I think I said it here already, which is the consistent denominator between the billionaire and the beggar is 24 hours.
Okay.
The man that builds a multi-billion-dollar empire and the person that's begging on the street, the consistent resource that they both have in the same quantity is 24 hours time. So how you use your time determines if you lose your time
Right.
or you actually profit from investing that time in the sacrifices that you have to make. You have to sacrifice. There is no success without sacrifice. So when you're writing your New Year's resolution, especially financially, and most persons probably already did it, the question I want to ask them is, did you take time to write a sacrifice list? You write the front side of your list.
Yeah.
But did you write the back side of that list?
What it will entail to get there.
Of course. What are you willing to give up?
I don't think a lot of people. I
It's-
think they may now have to tweak that.
Of course.
Yeah.
And this is the practicality behind actually manifesting the things on your list, you know. Because the things on the front side of your list can only be equated to the sacrifices and the redirection of your 24 hours. You have to do something different. So in other words, an next example, when I started my journey, I'm not a morning guy, right? Most persons who know me know that. I had to redirect the time I allocated to sleep. As basic as that might be.
Right, yeah.
That's a sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. I tell my team members, rather than watching TV, you may have to listen to an audiobook.
Okay.
So it's not that you may not be on the device. So let's say usually somebody might be on the TV. So rather than watching something that's not going to benefit the objective.
Correct. Not work in your favor in any shape or form.
Exactly. You could still be on the TV, you know. It's just what is going to be playing on the TV is going to be entirely different from last year.
Yeah.
It's not that you may not be on TikTok. You may actually still spend 3 hours on TikTok or 2 hours or 1 hour. But the content that is being consumed has to be different. You may be listening to radio or listening to a specific channel. You might decide to listen to Red.
Where you can learn something.
Where you can learn something.
Right.
Because you need to use the same tools to your favor. Especially after you set the goal, the objective financially. Sacrifice is the beginning of success. And in some spaces, in some industries, it even goes to the point where sacrifices has to be specific. So, I tell my team, in my industry, you need to actually know the specific sacrifice required to have success in your industry.
And even if you're uncertain, I'm asking, then you can as you go along, if it's not working, you can tweak as you go along.
Of course. Well, if you're making a sacrifice and the sacrifice you're making is not specific to the industry or specific to what the industry requires, you're not going to have results.
Right.
And I usually give the example that most of us will be familiar with. Let's say, for example, you wanted to go into the military. Anybody, male or female.
Yeah.
One of the first sacrifices that you definitely have to make is leaving your family for 6 months. And that sacrifice is specific to that industry.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because, of course, they're going to train you. But you have to detach yourself. You have to be willing to not be by mommy and daddy or wrong the family, granny, uncle, significant other for 6 months. That's a sacrifice. That's your loved ones. You're accustomed being with them. But for the greater cause, for the goal you may have this year, let's say you're going into the service, that's a sacrifice you have to make. But you do it because it's a sacrifice unique to the success in that industry. How about, let's say, offshore? Many persons, of course, they want to go in the oil and gas.
Yeah.
And they want to go offshore. There's a specific sacrifice there as well.
And that too is required to stay away from the family.
Stay away from the family, sacrifices.
Yeah.
How about operating in the service? In the services. Some people have to operate very early in the morning. Some people have to operate very late in the night. These are the common sacrifices we are accustomed to that are associated to the job.
Right.
Now, business is the exact same way. Entrepreneurship is the exact same way. The truth is, in entrepreneurship, it might even be more than 6 months of staying away from the family. Because the results you may desire, according to what figure you have on your paper, might take more than a 6 month sacrifice.
Yeah.
It might take a 9 month sacrifice.
Right.
It might take a 12-month sacrifice. Who knows? I'm not certain as to what figure you decided for your 2024. But after you decide on the figure, you decide on the vehicle, which ultimately is going to tell you the new actions you're going to take in 2024, along with your game plan, associated to a time frame. Right after writing the front side of your list, you need to write the back side of that. What am I willing to give up to incorporate this new vehicle, this new game plan, and these new activities? You have to redirect your time. You only have 24 hours. And I think this is one of the major reasons people actually don't manifest what they have on the New Year's resolutions. Because they write what they want, but they don't write what they're willing to give up to attain it. The only way you're going to access the sacrifices in this, the success you want in this year, is by sacrificing the things that you had before. Now, I even tell my team, Google the word sacrifice. I urge every listener to Google the word sacrifice. Sacrifice simply means you're going to give up something you already have.
Right.
So you're going to be giving up something you have. But you're doing that with the intent of receiving something more valuable.
Yeah.
It's the essence of life. You want mangoes, you have to give up a mango seed. A mango tree is not gonna grow unless you give up the mango seed. You have to give up what you have to attain the thing that you desire, and you have to equate mentally the value you intend and expect to receive by the value you decide. You have to decide to give, and you have to decide to give it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, your front side of your list is not gonna work until you decide on the back side of your list. What are you willing to give up this year to attain the things you desire at the end of the year?
So as we summarize, for persons who may have already created their list, you may need to edit your list. And if you haven't started yet, then as you create this new list, even though you have your end goals, you now have to put how you're going to go about achieving these goals.
Sacrifice.
Which will mean the sacrifice.
Sacrifice. I'll give you an example. This is a real life example growing up. I remember working alongside my mom and my family to build our home. the sacrifices that she made because she had so little, is we would only eat meat 1 or 2 days out of the week. That's a sacrifice.
Right, yeah.
Because she had to redirect what? The resources. So sometimes it's going to take that level of sacrifice, giving up something that you have for something that you desire, as basic as that is.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the practicality behind manifesting your list in 2024.
Yeah, so you gotta go edit those lists, guys. And
Yeah.
if you're now gonna start a new one, ensure that you put what will be the sacrifice needed or required in order for you to achieve that bigger goal.
For
so
sure.
Keeshon, share your handles with us.
It's KEESHONVANE. Go to Instagram, look for the verification tick. Right, so it's Keeshon Vane. Ensure you see the verification tick on Instagram.